All right, let's dive right in. We're talking about the Mughal Conquest of Bengal, and let me tell you, it's a story that really shows how winning a single battle, well, that's just the start. Winning the war is a whole different ballgame. And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? It poses this huge question. How on earth do you rule a land that just refuses to be ruled? Okay, so let's set the scene. The year is 1576. The Mughals have just won a big one, the Battle of Rajmahal. And just like that, on paper, Bengal is officially a Mughal province, a Subah. Looks good, right? A clean win. But the reality on the ground? Oh, it was way, way messier. And here's where you see that huge gap between the official story and what was actually happening. Yeah, the Mughals claimed Bengal, but their real power? It pretty much ended at the walls of a few fortified towns. You step out into the countryside, and it was a whole different world, the turf of powerful local warlords who, trust me, weren't about to start taking orders from some distant emperor. You just knew a situation that fragile wasn't going to last. And sure enough, in 1580, the whole thing just explodes. We're talking a massive, widespread rebellion that shakes the Mughal Empire's grip on the East to its very core. This was no small-time uprising. This was a direct, full-blown challenge to their power. So you gotta ask, what lit the fuse? Well, it wasn't just one thing. It was this perfect storm of grievances. For one, you had religious leaders upset with Emperor Akbar's pretty secular policies. Then you had his big reforms, things like pay cuts for soldiers and a major crackdown on corruption, which really ticked off a lot of powerful people. It got so bad they even started backing Akbar's own brother, turning this into a serious family feud. And who was leading this charge? A group known as the Baro Buyans. Now, think of them as the dozen or so most powerful warlords in the region. This coalition of Hindu zamindars and Pathan leaders were, let's be honest, the real rulers of Bengal. We're talking about legendary figures like Isa Khan and Kedar Roy. These were the guys the Mughals had to beat. So years go by, and nothing is working. Governor after governor gets sent to Bengal, and they all fail. It becomes painfully obvious to Emperor Akbar that his playbook is just wrong. He needs a totally new strategy, and maybe even more important, he needs a new kind of general to pull it off. And I mean, just look at the track record here. It's a revolving door of failure. Muzaffar Khan, defeated. Khan Azam got nowhere. Shahbaz Khan, he had a good start, but then got completely humiliated by Isa Khan in a surprise attack. It was clear. The local warlords were running circles around the empire's best and brightest. Finally, by 1593, Akbar has had enough. He's done playing games. He decides it's time to send in his superstar, his most trusted general, to go in and fix this Bengal problem once and for all. And that general was Raja Man Singh of Amber. We're talking about a military genius, one of Akbar's inner circle, and now he's got what looks like an impossible job. Go to Bengal and actually conquer it. So what happens next isn't some quick, decisive battle. No way. It's the start of a grueling 12-year-long war. See, Man Singh got it. He knew this wasn't about one big glorious victory. This was going to be a slow, methodical grind to take apart the Baro Bhuyan's entire power base, piece by painful piece. And his strategy was just brilliant. First, he sets up a brand new, strategically located capital. Then, he starts launching campaigns from multiple directions at the same time, keeping everyone guessing. He was a master of divide and conquer, using diplomacy and a lot of money to break up alliances and isolate the big fish like Isa Khan. And only when he had them cornered, then he'd go in for the decisive fight. But make no mistake, this was anything but easy. It was a brutal, ugly war fought in the swamps and rivers of Bengal. Alliances would form one day and break the next. It was treacherous. And the personal cost, it was immense. In a devastating naval battle in 1597, Man Singh's own son, Durjan Singh, was killed. Just think about that. And the losses just kept piling up. It's staggering. Over the course of this campaign, Raja Man Singh lost not one, not two, but three of his sons, Durjan Singh, Hamit Singh, and Jagat Singh. Can you even imagine that? The price he paid to bring one province under control was just unbelievable. But even after all that, after those devastating personal losses, Man Singh didn't quit. He went back to Bengal and just kept going. And finally, in 1603, he gets a huge breakthrough. He defeats and captures Kedar Roy, one of the last major holdouts. With the heart of the resistance broken, the last big warlord, Usman, has no choice but to flee. The warlord wars, they were finally over. So after almost 30 years of non-stop fighting, things finally quiet down. Peace returns to Bengal. The province is, at long last, really and truly under Mughal control. But the story doesn't end there. In fact, this newly conquered land is about to become the backdrop for the next great drama of the Mughal Empire. Okay, so fast forward to 1605. Emperor Akbar dies. His son, Jahangir, is the new emperor. And one of the first things he does, he calls Man Singh back from Bengal. It really feels like the end of an era. But a seemingly random, violent event back in Bengal is about to change the course of the entire empire. You just can't make this stuff up. So, Jahangir is emperor. He's the guy in charge, or is he? A new question starts to bubble up, one that would define his entire reign. Who's really pulling the strings? And the answer, incredibly, starts with a bloody fight in some small town back in Bengal. It's a wild story. It all starts in 1607. An official out in Burdwan, a guy named Emperor Afghan, gets killed in a showdown with the new governor. His widow, a woman named Meher Unisa, is sent to the imperial harem. And then, 4 years later, Emperor Jahangir marries her. He gives her a new name, Nur Jahan, which means light of the world. And let me tell you, she was so much more than just a new wife. This woman was destined to become the true power behind the emperor. Empress Nur Jahan basically ends up running the Mughal Empire, becoming one of the most powerful women in its entire history. And it's just amazing to think that her whole epic journey started right there in a newly conquered Bengal. So there you have it. Man Singh's relentless campaign finally brought Bengal under Mughal rule. It was a peace that was bought with decades of bloodshed and unbelievable personal sacrifice. But it kind of leaves you with this one last question to chew on, right? When you're talking about these huge, sprawling empires, is peace ever really permanent?